Hi guys, welcome to week 6 of the League of Legends Amateur Open. We are going to be getting into the first game here. McDonald's Always Esports, or I believe that's their name. Sorry, I still learned. McDonald's or Esports versus Always Gold Like, with McDonald's Esports on the blue side. We have the Blitzcrank band coming out right away with the Z response coming out from the purple side.
Yes, and just to clarify, these two teams, I believe, yeah, both of them are actually new this week. We have three returning teams overall. Beach Kings Gaming last week was Team Solo Mad, not Team Solo Mid. Please do not confuse that. Team Firefrost has returned. They were previously known as Spectral Coconuts. I believe they haven't actually been back since week 2 of this tournament. And McDonald's or Esports, which is Salmon Humpers, a recurring team that's been a few weeks in this tournament already. These two teams right here always go like. Actually, I'm wrong. McDonald's and Esports are returning this week. I'm messing up already. Anyway.
First thing of the day, we're just still waking up. We're getting into it. So anyways, we now see Vayne being banned out, as well as a response from Thresh. So pretty typical bans coming out for both teams by this point.
Yeah, Zed, the two hooks, of course, are always recognized as at least relatively overpowered. A Janna ban, however, is something you don't see too often. Usually that's just comp-specific or even player-specific bans that you see. Like I could almost expect McDonald's to be going for a kind of like all-in composition or something that Janna could just really mess up if they have that on the team.
Yeah, definitely. I think they might have a composition ready in mind. Lee Sin being banned out for Always Gold. So we'll see what McDonald's decides to start running here. Deknum in the first pick here, deciding what they're going to go with. So we will see. Deknum is probably one of my favorite mid laners. A couple of weeks ago with some of the champions he decides to pick. Pretty known for doing the occasional unconventional, not most viable pick, but doing extremely well with them. So we'll see what he decides to go with this week.
Yeah, we've seen his Victor play the flash ult onto Karthus to cancel the Requiem that would have ended his own life. We can just always expect greatness out of Deknum, and the first pick Caston is very brave, I would say.
Yeah, a really brave pick. Kassadin has got one of the worst early game laning phases pre-6. Can get pushed around extremely hard. He doesn't really have too much choice but to take a lot of that abuse. There has been a little bit of a more popular kind of Doran shield start, or a Crystalline Flask 3 health pods, just to help him get through that pre-6 phase. But falling behind in that pre-6 phase could be absolutely devastating. It could send you behind extremely far.
Yeah, and it's just even worse because he doesn't know the matchup yet. Because it's a first pick, you don't know who you're going into. It could be anything that really has just great zoning potential, or it could even be an AD mid lane. I would almost expect Always Gold like to lock in something like a Kha'Zix or something. I would say Zed, but of course he's been banned out. And it's actually a good response to lock that in first because some of the biggest AD counters, and I say AD counters because Caston's passive is just made to work best against magic damage. So having something that does a lot of physical damage is usually a good lane counter or even late game counter to it.
Yeah, we see Nami and Jarvan being picked over now for Always Gold. Pretty popular picks, especially in this tournament. Nami has been exceptionally popular just with the amount of CC and damage she can bring forward to a team. Same with Jarvan. Has a lot of the utility, plus like good amount of damage. He's got a good mix of everything in him. Plus with the Cataclysm being able to really force people into positions they don't want to be in. We do see picks coming out from McDonald's that are able to escape the Cataclysm relatively easily. We got Ezreal's Arcane Shift, Kassadin's Rift Walk that'll be able to get them out of there pretty easily, but we'll see what else decides to come out of this team. Aaron is my name, blocking in Sona as well as the support pick.
Yeah, and I would also say that the Ezreal pick is a little bit of a, I guess, almost a response to the Nami, because generally what we see, and well, not necessarily generally, but a good pairing is the Ezreal Nami, because it can always really dominate the lane. I'd say Tidecaller's Blessing paired with a Mystic Shot is some of the best harass you can get. Just, I would say apart from maybe Draven spinning axes, it's one of the best ways to dominate a lane early if you can get a few of those Mystic Shots, and even auto attacks if you're close enough and if the lane matchup favors it.
Sorry about that. Getting a lot of in-game messages, trying to keep up with everybody asking questions. Tristana being locked in now for always gold. Definitely a pretty strong pick. Little bit of the man mid game, which is really interesting because McDonald's has picked a team comp so far with an absolutely dominant early to mid game composition. Cassidy being able to roam early in that mid game, Ezreal being able to do huge amounts of poke damage early and mid game. Same with the Sona. And if he decides to go blue build, which is an extremely popular, he even does a lot of poke damage later into the game. And we even see a Kennen being hovered over. And if Kennen can get his Zonya's Hourglass extremely early, he can manage to do huge amounts of damage into mid-game team fights and absolutely snowball games. Whereas Tristana loses so much of her damage output mid-game if she's not getting extremely ahead in lane. So really interesting choice coming out there.
Yeah, it seems like both of these teams are starting to formulate similar compositions to each other. Both have decent AoE ultimate combinations. Both have decent poke between the Jace, Ezreal, to some extent Tristana once she gets her long range, the Sona, and now Kennen. And I want to kind of go back to this ult combo. Really, uh, what uh, what always Gold Like is going to try to avoid doing is engaging, especially having the Cataclysm on top of the cannon, because it's just going to lock both your team and the enemy team in one spot and give him everything he needs to get a good slicing maelstrom off.
Absolutely. Also comboed in with the Shen ultimate if he decides to Zonya's and he's trapped inside of a Cataclysm. Aaron is my name, can crash that crescendo, pop and drop, can use Stand United right into the middle of all of that. Kennen being totally invulnerable with the Zonyas, getting the taunt off across all of them. Cassidy being able to do the huge burst damage. Like, they're able to lock down and absolutely blow up people's health bars with their team composition. Whereas Always Gold is going for a pretty interesting composition. They're going for what looks like a lot more single target lockdown, especially with the Nami and the Jarvan with the knockups that they have on their kits.
And a lot of what they're already locking in is physical damage. I already mentioned it's a good counter to, and they lock in Elise. I'm wrong. Anyway, I was about to say it's a really good counter to Caston, like I already mentioned. The Jason there, which I failed to acknowledge earlier, I mentioned Kazakhs. I'm thinking, oh, AD casters, Kazakhs. No, but Jace is one of those too. And even with the recent nerfs to his itemization, he's still a really strong pick. And it really works with the poke here because neither of these teams have a whole lot of sustain outside of their supports, which can only heal one team member at a time. If like a poke war starts to uh, just happen a lot, like one team is sieging the other, or even they're just poking back and forth a lot in one lane for a long time, or like around the dragon or something, there's not a lot of sustain to keep them in these fights. So if a couple members get poked down too much, it's going to either force a fight or force a disengage.
Absolutely. I do want to also again go out to Always Gold's team comp. They have so much single target orientation is kind of what looks like is coming out here. I mean, you got the Elise stun with the cocoon. You got Nami's Aqua Prison, the EQ combo coming out from Jarvan. Tristana is pretty much completely single target oriented. She does have a little bit of AoE, nothing too meaningful that comes out of her explosive shot. Jace does have his ranged EQ combo from Acceleration Gate Shock Blast, but once he turns it to Hammer Foam, it's all melee single target oriented. So they have a lot of ability to pick people off, absolutely melt a single person of their choice. Whereas it looks like McDonald's is coming up for a more team fight oriented composition with a lot of the AoE, a lot of the CC that can go out to multiple team members at the same time.
Yeah, the crescendo and slicing maelstrom combination is just something that Always Gold Like is going to have to really watch out for. They have to not group up, and a lot of their composition is like diving potential, so they're inevitably going to be grouped up in the same spot at some point. You have Jason and Elise both diving in, Jarvan initiating, and Tristan sitting in the back line. The front line, that although they won't be the main targets of the fight, like they're going to try to draw the damage away from Tristana, especially. She's one of those late game hyper carries. Just at the range alone, can pump out the auto attacks, turn on the rapid fire, and just melt teams from a distance. That's what they're going for here. Like you said, the single target damage, but they still have to avoid being grouped up because if enough hard CC gets locked down onto the front line, then they can just jump past and annihilate the Tristana if they want to. Casson especially is really known for that. He can just rift walk all over the place, get to the target he wants, and as long as he doesn't die in the process, he's going to melt whoever it is.
I do want to point something out, and I don't know if my client is glitched or if I'm just losing my mind. Decknam has Smite on Kassadin. Is that you as well? Did you see that?
I'm seeing this in the stream, and that tells me they're um I was thinking they just hadn't trade. I saw him pick it at first, and I noticed the smite. I thought they were going to trade it, but they haven't. So,
I actually I thought I assumed it was a swap, but then I remember Decknam is their mid player. So now I'm pretty surprised. What is going on? Decknam is sitting on a smite with the Kassadin. They're already in the loading screen. They're probably already started the game. So I would have definitely been surprised. So it looks like we'll be probably seeing a Ken in mid and a Shen top with a Kassadin jungle.
and I wouldn't say it's entirely unheard of. It's of course not common. You rarely, if ever, see a cast in jungle. I kind of want to go back. I forget which LCS team it was, but they were teasing Kobe about a cast in jungle for a few weeks. I believe this is like back in the spring split, but it was a troll hover, especially when he was casting for quite a while. Just cast in jungle, and no one ever played it, and everyone was hoping to see it just because Kobe kept talking it up. But it kind of helps Caston get a. It forces him away from ganking because especially with the weak early game that we always mention Caston has, as long as he's not in a lane and as long as there's not a lot of counter jungling involved, then he should really have a lot of time to free farm, level up until 6, and then he can start carrying his influence around the map. It's not. It's going to put always gold like at a bit of ease early game, especially just early level ganks are not going to be too threatening from a Caston, of course. No Rift Walk means he is really just not mobile at all, and especially against the likes of a Jarvan jungle, if Aruhiti really decides to go in and counter him, steal away his experience, and even probably duel him, which he should be able to do at early levels as Jarvan, it'll really shut the Caston down.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting. I'm gonna have to apologize in advance. My city has got a little bit of a thunderstorm warning, and my house just kind of shook. So the storm is a little bit close. You guys might be hearing a lot of loud noises. But we are getting into the loading screen now. So as we start, I just want to give ourselves a quick introduction. My name is Wicked Slouch. I'll be one of your casters for today, and this is my co-caster.
Hello, I'm the 10th Doctor, and you can check out all of our links below the stream. Check out the tournament brackets if you want to sign up. There's a link for that down there. I believe that's the Google image. And there's as well links to our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, our YouTube channel where you can check out some VODs, and even a donation button if you want to just help us get the stream, get the tournament going, get it a little more out there, and share links with your friends and all that. More viewers, more people to join the tournament, more people enjoying the tournament, and even get your friends involved in this tournament and join in future weeks if you want to.
Absolutely. So we are on the loading screen now. Looks like we're going to be getting into the game in just a moment. For the quick skin intimidation factor, on the blue side we have TPA Ezreal, Kennen Medical Doctor, and Warlord Shen. And on the purple side we have Rocket Girl Tristana only. So skin intimidation going out to McDonald's.
I'm disappointed not to see the dual TPA skins. Pop and drop going for the Warlord Shen instead of the TPA Shen. It's a little, I'd just say disappointing. You also have the I'd like to mention the dual ninjas here. The hidden passive is you have one less maximum HP when the two ninjas are together. We are into game, and remember McDonald's on the blue corner and always go like in the red corner. What do you think we'll see from these teams at early levels?
I got a feeling we're going to be seeing an invade coming out from Always Gold. We do actually see pings heading out their bottom tri bush on heading over toward pings heading out, sorry, towards their red buff area. So I think are going to be seeing what looks like an invade. They do have some pretty strong CC available to them at level 1. So we'll just see what they decide to do here, especially with a Kassadin jungle. I can't imagine it being exceptionally strong early on. Probably has really slow clear time. So I've never seen anything like it. So I guess we'll be seeing what happens.
Yeah, the one thing, the only AoE clear he really has is Force Pulse, and it charges based on abilities used around him, including himself. So it's really going to be charged up slow in the jungle, and he's only going to have the single target damage from the Null Sphere, and I forget the name of his auto attack modifier. It's Nether Blade, which actually gives an AP scaling to your auto attacks. So obviously not the best jungle clear on that cast in there. Decnum is going to have a lot of really
Siachu
early
actually
game
getting caught
trouble.
down to top lane. All of the members coming in. Siachu forced to flash away. That's a flash down, and he's gonna have to be forced back to base.
Yeah, he took his Mystic shot a little prematurely there. If he had probably waited on that skill point, saved it for invade is expected against the likes of a cast in jungle. Having that arcane shift ready and available would have been a little bit of a better option, but it is Ezreal. He still does have the arcane shift as an option later, so a flash down in the first 5 minutes isn't going to be too big of a problem. At least that's what he'll be hoping for. Uh, Sakachu just coming back to lane already. Full health, flash down, but barrier's still up.
Yeah, we can actually see a lot of vision being popped down from Gold side already. I can't remember their name. I'm gonna call them Gold. Gold putting down a lot of vision in their own jungle, wanting to protect against an invade. They got one at their own red, they got one at their own blue, and they've got one in the enemy jungle as well, near the front bush at the red side. They're definitely looking to keep their laners as safe as possible, as well keep their own jungles as safe as possible. I guess I'm not sure how fast Kassadin can really jungle. Just finishing up his blue buff now, a couple seconds behind Jarvan. So we'll see if there's any like major counter jungling. It looks like everybody's just gonna go to their own buffs and play their early game as safe as they can.
Yeah, he didn't get the best leash on that blue. It's not too bad, I wouldn't say, because there wasn't really much of an invade. The biggest thing that Gold really did, they just came in, blew Sakachu's flash and backed out. Gave one ward on that red buff, which it does actually spot deck him out, clearing that right now. So, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, so Pop and Drop should suspect Deknum heading, or sorry, Aryuhiti heading up to top lane now. Oh wait, no, sorry, that is actually a purple side ward in there. So Aryuhiti actually heading up towards the top lane here. Gonna head over to that banana bush. Pop and Drop has no vision right now. Aryuhiti going in a little bit aggressive. Shen taking his taunt at level 2. You don't have to get away. Knockup coming up from Aryuhiti. Lots of damage coming down. Huge amounts of damage coming down. Almost trying to drop down under his tower. Drop down to about 25% health. Spiderlings are gonna take some of that turret aggro, and everybody's gonna walk away just fine.
Yeah, both Dyslexia and Pop and Drop should be able to sustain that backup between their potions and the sustain in their kit. One thing Pop and Drop is going to have to watch out for is just the assassination from Elise. Dyslexia already has a 1-level advantage on him. Elise just ranged against the melee top laner just has that real zoning potential there. And it's going to keep this Pop and Drop on kind of the back of his feet for now.
Yeah, definitely not the best lane for Shen to actually want to be in his early game. He does have the sustain that can come out from Vorpal Blades every time he kills a unit. It is keeping him fairly healthy in his lane. Plus with the shield from Fane, he will mitigate a decent amount of the early game damage coming out from Elise. But still not the best time he seems to be having up in that top lane.
Yeah, and the CS advantage isn't too bad right now, especially with that the rejuvenation peed in there. He's going to be able to sustain up a little better. Shen is just one of those champions that's kind of able to last hit under turret really well with his passive and the Vorpal Blade especially. It just gives him a bit of last hit spike that he needs on the low cooldown.
Yeah, it definitely helps him out a lot. Also, will give him time to sustain. We actually see Deknum looking like he's going to be lurking up there. There is a ward that he keeps strolling on by. Dyslexia is going to know he's there. Deknum is going to be forced to back away.
Yeah, and one thing I was going to point out about that gank that Aryuhiti had in the top lane, it gave Deknum a little bit of more time to free farm his jungle and just keep the levels as even as possible. The more Jarvan looks to gank, the more Deknum is going to be looking to keep the levels up. But Aryuhiti is down the bot lane. He's on top of a ward, and he's not going to find a gank just because of that.
Yeah, Siachu, I think that's a Seek. I'm going to call him Sick. Sick. Knowing that Jarvan is around, going to be playing it very safe, trying his best to stay on his own side of the lane. Used Arcane Shift, a little bit afraid of that Aqua Prison that might have came out, and is going to also walk away from this pretty safely. So we are 5 minutes in, no first blood yet. Gold is about 300 gold in favor of McDonald's right now, so nothing too huge coming out at the moment.
I believe it's Pikachu, like Pikachu but with an S.
Oh! Dude, that's actually very cool.
It took me a while. It took me a while to notice that, but I think that's how it's pronounced.
Taking a look at the CS scores now. Let's take a look at the bottom lane here. Tristana's got 46 to Ezreal's 39. So huge lane favor going in for Okay, not that huge, but almost a 10k gold advantage coming out, or not 10k, 10 minion advantage. Wow, 10 minion advantage coming out for Surreal Hell here. That's pretty good for
Yeah,
a Tristana early game, especially considering Ezreal can use that Mystic Shot to get that early, pretty much secure his last hits early on fairly safely.
Yeah, and just the zoning from Nami is keeping him back a little bit. The Mystic Shot is probably the only reason he's as close as he is with that minion score. He is actually a level up on Surreal Hell right now. Pikachu is keeping up fairly well. I want to go back to, oh wow, we have...
Sorry, a lot of aggression go down onto the mid lane. Tiana gonna drop down really low. Ignite being used. Mid-Angel Maelstrom also being used. It's gonna go up down really low. Is the Ignite gonna be doing enough? No, it's not. He will be able to walk away from that safely with just the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, and actually, Nader Summoner was used to escape from that. He still has his Flash and Ignite up, so he'll come back to lane pretty okay after that.
Deknam actually heading up to the top lane. Dyslexia is getting a little bit caught out here. He is 6. Deknam has not hit 6 yet. But forcing to use Flash, running into the river here. Stun landing down onto Deknam. Popping up, doing his best to catch up to Dyslexia. Running through his own jungle, trying his best to escape. Jarvan is coming from his own base, trying to catch up. Flash being used for Pop and Drop. Huge amounts of first damage. First blood going down to Pop and Drop.
Yeah, and that was just a very long chase with the level 5 Kassadin. It eventually, of course, did result in the first blood, but that was just long because Deknam wasn't quite level 6 yet, didn't have that Rift Walk available. And I want to kind of go back to this top lane here. Pop and Drop has been maxing his Feint Shield first. He already has 3 points into that level 6, and he just combines that to deal with the harass from Dyslexia's Elise so far. Aaron is my name taking low in the bot lane.
Aaron's name already been forced to burn Flash from an earlier engagement. Surreal Hell being taken extremely low from the poke damage coming out. Looks like... Sorry, one second. Getting a little bit of an error here. Sorry. There we go. Got it fixed up. Looks like everybody's just going to walk away from that fight. Cannon looking like he's going to be trying to roam bottom. Try to do a little something. Vengeful Maelstrom is still down. It looks like, no, he's just going to back away and head back over to his own lane. He did walk past a ward, so everybody going to back away and play it a little safe.
Yeah, and it looks like Aryuhiti was looking for a blue steal on Deknam right there. I want to point out that actually Deknam has a bit of a level advantage on Aryuhiti right now. Aryuhiti just hit level 5, but Deknam is almost level 6. One more camp should get him to that. And that's a little bit of a mix of the first blood and the slight bit of extra farming he's been doing, while Aryuhiti has been looking for ganks and actually failing them. Hasn't really blown anything on his own yet.
Rushing down the bottom lane. Crescendo being used. Oh, True Shot Barrage. Huge burst damage coming out. I don't think they were expecting the level 6 burst coming out from the combination of them. And Nami will drop to the combination of ultimates.
Yeah, that's one thing you always have to do against Sona. Never let her close and never group up when she's close to you. Crescendo, along with the True Shot Barrage, and everything just bursted all at once from the Ezreal Sona. Just really melted Finkel right there. Surreal Hell was almost taken out, but he was able to get out. I don't even think he blew a Summoner or even Rocket Jump to get out of that. Could be wrong. Rocket Jump was potentially used, but he still has his Flash up. Barrier blown after that, though.
Yeah, so a couple Summoner spells were being burnt there just to try and keep herself safe. Sona, sorry, did use her Crescendo and Exhaust during that exchange, so both of those spells have gone down. So we did get one kill down into the bot lane now. Taking a look at the CS scores, it is getting a little bit even up here. Ezreal opting to actually go for the blue build, starting with the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, almost managing to pick up his tier as well.
Yeah, it still surprises me to see people going for the Spirit item. It's seen a lot of nerfs just because it was being used so much by laners. A little bit of support harass trade down here around Dragon, just trying to get that pink ward war going. Actually, Aaron is my name, has a little bit of dominance right now. Only one pink left on Finkel, and actually one left on Aaron is my name as well. But as soon as Finkel can really get any chance, he's going to go clear that out. And yeah.
Taking a look at this top lane, Deknam has been hanging out here for quite a little bit of while now. He did not walk over a ward, but Dyslexia, I think, is just trying to play it safe. They kind of figured that Deknam must be nearby. Walking over another ward near the enemy Wraith camp. Tian's gonna just walk away from that. Deknam hanging on to bush. They know he's there. Aryuhiti is on the other side. Looks like he's gonna be ready just in case Deknam decides to jump in.
Yeah, and looks like Aryuhiti is looking... He can't really decide which lane he wants to gank right now. He's kind of hanging in that jungle. He's gonna walk over a ward right now, though, in the tri-bush. And Sikachu and Aaron is my name, slow to react.
Yeah, Vrenchko taken down really low. Tidal being used. Shen's ultimate actually being dropped down here. Siachu eating away. Aaron's been taken down really low. Cataclysm being used. Aryuhiti dropping down to Sarchu. Looks like it might have been a little bit of miscommunication, but they did manage to trade that 1-for-1. But Shen Stand United was also used in that fight, so I think it was a little bit more in favor for gold there.
Yeah, point blank Kun was used to interrupt that Stand United, so Shen wasn't able to jump into the fray there. Pop and Drop just he was actually in the very middle of the lane, right in front of Dyslexia. He just was able to get the shield and help Pikachu in that engage. Gave him a double kill. No buffs there. None. Ryuhide didn't quite have any ready at that during that gank, so just a double kill, no buff transfer. Now that he has that spirit item in there, he is actually managing to keep up a little better in CS. But the extra minion damage is just helping him in that regard. Now 3-0 on that Ezreal.
Yeah, he is just under 10 farm, under 10 farm to the Tristana here, but he does have 3 kills already by this point, so this lane is looking pretty good for him so far.
Yeah, and one thing that actually Surreal Hell has managed to do so far, in both in and out of fights, he's winning trades with Pikachu. I'm trying to avoid saying Pikachu, but but yeah, Surreal Hell has really just been directing his damage in the right places and really quickly just to win trades. Both the last fights, it was actually Winkle that dropped to both of the ultimate combos from Aaron Is My Name and Pikachu. The True Shot Barrage finished Winkle off both times, but Surreal Hell is the one that survived. And as long as he was alive, the damage is still going down to Pikachu, and it's really forced him out of the engagement first, even though he's the one getting the kills.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have Pikachu picking up his Tear of the Goddess now. Actually, no, picking up a full mana immune early on, opting to get as much AD early on as we can. Surreal Hell looks like he's disconnected. We'll probably be seeing a pause coming out in just a moment here. Meanwhile, in the top lane, though, we do see Leg TV was hanging on that top bush. Dyslexia using his spider form to scout the bush. He did see Leg, but doesn't look like he's opting to back away. He's saying, I know you know I'm here, but I'm not leaving anywhere. You're going to have to deal with me. Flash coming down! Ultimate's being used! He did not see that coming. Repel being used right away! Ignite will drop him down! He did not see the surprise flash coming out at all.
Yeah, we have.
So meanwhile, in the river here, Ryuhide being forced to use flash. He tried to use the blue steel. Deknum trying to catch up, has to use Rift Walk defensively to avoid the Shock Blast combo. That was a blue steel coming out from Ryuhide.
Yeah, and Deknum is really reliant on that blue right now. He doesn't really have any items that can keep his mana up apart from that Spirit Stone, and that's not enough with a Kassadin. Riftwalk actually takes huge chunks out of your mana if you allow it to stack up too much. One thing he didn't go back and do is clear the small minions from the camp. They're still there, so actually neither jungler are really going back to do that right now. Then finally the pause comes out.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I was checking out if Tristana was back, starting to walk back, but she is still AFK in base. So it looks like they're gonna wait for her to get back into the game. I do want to point out that top gank, though. I don't think that Dyslexia was anticipating the flash taunt to come out there. I definitely wasn't expecting it, but she was hugging by her own tower, and then the flash taunt coming out from Shen, comboed in with the Vengeful Maelstrom, was it happened so quickly that she almost didn't have time to respond, and she dropped almost immediately.
Yeah, and that's just the 1v1 mind games. He did actually see Lag TV Bounce go up into that bush, but it had been about 30 seconds to a minute or so he was sitting in that and just trying to make Dyslexia think he'd gone back, and obviously it worked, and he stepped a little too close. Double flashes burned, but the kill was there, and actually a bit of a mechanic. The repel does not stop dots from hitting you. It'll stop things like a Requiem or something that will be directly targeted at you, auto attacks, and stuff like that. But the ignite kept ticking while he was up there, and it actually got the kill on him.
Yeah, so it was just a little bit too quickly for Dyslexia to react to. Definitely caught him off guard. Certainly caught me off guard. We actually see Deknum and Aaron Is My Name looking to try and take this dragon right now. Deknum getting dropped down pretty low. Pikachu here to help out. There is no vision coming out from gold, so this should be a relatively free dragon coming out, and they do manage to pick it up for free.
Yeah, the little bit of lapse in connection there actually prevented Winkle from keeping vision control around that dragon, and it was a bit of a sneak there for them. It's a little bit of a I hesitate to call it an unfair advantage, but that's a little bit of what it was, just because of the connection issues. But nevertheless, Free Dragon and about a 4,000 gold advantage for McDonald's right now, and Serial Hell disconnects again.
At 3L disconnect one more time, as some aggression was being dropped down in the top lane. But looks like we're going to have to wait for him to come back. Questions just popping out in chat. Looks like, yeah, she did DC one more time. We're going to be waiting for him to get back as soon as we can. Looks like there is some connection issues going on right now. So hopefully we can get that started up right away.
We can take this time.
Sorry, I was
going to
say, meanwhile, let's take a look at some items and stuff. Yeah,
exactly what
I was going to point out, Shen has actually opted to rush for a Warmogs, which I find to be an interesting choice. He is ahead in a lane, so I don't think it's a huge deal. But in a sense, if that Dyslexia wasn't so far behind, that I don't think the Warmogs would have been the best option, just in my personal opinion. Dyslexia does have that percent max health nuke on her human form Q, Neurotoxin. So rushing at Warmogs might not always been the best choice, but he is actually winning out on these trades that I've been watching out in top lane, and it's working out really well for him.
Yeah, he actually has a 2-level advantage on it, but you have, as much as the Warmogs isn't that good of an item, especially a first item against elites, he does have a little bit of magic resist in there, going towards the Merc Treads, I would think, right now. But remember that Shen's damage actually scales with his own health. The passive Key Strike actually does damage based on the more health he gets, the more damage that passive will do. And especially with him maxing the Feint first, it keeps him really able to trade because that shield is absorbing so much damage from both of Pop and Drop's forms, the human and the spider.
Yeah, so definitely, like, the Feint max was definitely not something I was expecting, but definitely a really smart move coming out from Pop and Drop, who has managed to sustain a lot of the early game damage that came out from Dyslexia, and was able to hold his own in that lane for a long time, until his teammates managed to come up there and help him out. He did manage to pick up that first blood, plus with the gank that came down from Kennen, Lake TV Bouse, that helped him get another kill up in that top lane. So he is definitely looking extremely ahead by this point.
One thing I haven't seen Pop and Drop use so far is a Summoner Teleport, and I would kind of attribute that to the fact that he wasn't actually able to join in the bot lane fight earlier. Stand United was used, but the teleport didn't actually go through, so he was stuck in the top lane and didn't really have to use the Summoner to return since he never left. One thing I kind of want to point out about the comps here is that so far McDonald's has been able really just to stamp their influence on the map, I would say, with the mix of the globals that actually haven't been entirely global so far, as well as just the pure roaming power of a Kassadin that's now in the jungle instead of restricted to a lane. And since Dectum is only level 8, it hasn't been that long since he got his Riftwalk, but he secured a dragon. He got first blood onto his top laner, and it's been actually a very nice game for McDonald's so far. They're still about 4K ahead, and it probably hasn't even been 30 seconds in game time since I mentioned that, even though it was a few minutes ago.
4K gold lead at the 14-minute mark, almost 15-minute mark. This is looking extremely good for McDonald at this point. They do have that super early to mid-game team composition. A little bit of the late game coming in with Kassadin's burst, so it might not be as strong because he's not quite getting the farm he's looking for in the jungle. But we do have the Shen as well, who's going to just be a tanky CC monster with the shield that can also come out from Stand United. But with the gold-only team, we have Jace, who can do a tremendous amount of burst damage late game with his EQ combo with the Shock Blast. We have a Tristana, which is a notorious late game hyper carry. And we do have the Jarvan, who can do a lot of utility late game with his ultimate and CC from his EQ.
Yeah, and that Shen is actually going to be a little bit hard to deal with late game. Pop and Drop is, I believe he actually has the most gold between everyone on the team. Actually, I take that back. Pikachu is about 400 ahead of him. But those two are the most farmed and the most gold-fed people on the map right now. Pikachu is at actually 5.1k, and Pop and Drop at 4.7. The lane matchup alone, he is about 2,000 ahead of Elise on Dyslexia's Elise right now, and it's really just keeping him ahead in that matchup right now.
I do actually want to point out, I just noticed this, that Kennen already does have his Zanya's Hourglass finished onto his on his item. It's the only item he has. Doesn't even have boots yet. Opting to rush that as soon as possible. A really smart choice against the team composition that I keep forgetting their name. Gold only is assigned to run, especially with a lot of AD on their team. They do have a little bit of AP. I'm getting a little bit of notices from the teams. Okay, no, he's Tristana's still logging in here. But no, it was definitely a smart choice, especially in the matchup he's facing against the Jace, to get that early armor. Plus, with the Zhonya's active combined with Vengeful Maelstrom, able to just jump into the middle of the enemy team and not even care, just being able to be in the middle there, being a huge CC damage threat, and not have to worry about it because of the Zhonya's active.
Yeah, one thing the chat just mentioned, there is actually a login queue right now, apparently. I'm wondering if this is a server-wide issue we're having. I would imagine it wasn't because the off-stream game is actually still going. There hasn't been a pause in there right now, so not entirely sure what the issue is, but I don't think it's really restricted to Surreal Hell right now. And
We have been hearing some issues with the Riot servers for right now, so there is a little bit of problems coming out. Hopefully, we can get that fixed as soon as possible. Hopefully, Riot will be jumping on that. So
yeah, unfortunately, that's not within our control. And if you have been forced out of your own solo queue games and decided to watch us, we're having the same problems, unfortunately.
hopefully, we can get this fixed up as soon as possible. Uh, get this game started up as soon as we can here. Hopefully, Riot can fix their servers up, and this won't be an issue any longer, and we can get our
Froggen,
games
please.
back to normal. Froggen, please.
What I always forget how Froggen was the one associated with disconnections.
He was it was I can't remember what tournament it was at. It could be World Championships, the season 2 World Championships, don't quote me on that. But his computer stopped running constantly, so he had to like keep leaving the game, and they had to change the computer he was using twice.
Oh,
in that one
actually,
match.
I'm not. That might have been season 2 Worlds, but what I remember from season 2 was that just like the internet on site was having issues. Like the entire game was disconnecting. It wasn't just Froggen. And they had to delay the CLG EU versus World Elite game for like.
Oh, I remember that one as well.
For
yeah,
like half a week.
I think there was like a world record of wards that were destroyed in that one game because neither team wanted to engage just because of the fear of like a disconnection in the middle of a team fight that would end up costing them the fight. Because if somebody was like just disconnecting the moment the fight started, even if they paused, they were probably screwed by that point anyways. So both teams were like terrified to engage, and all they were doing was destroying wards, and something like 200 to 300 wards were destroyed over a 20-minute mark, and nothing happened. And they ended up just calling off the game and saying, we'll just do this tomorrow.
I believe it was like a team fight actually did break out, and the game crashed in the middle of the fight. Before even one person before one person died, the game crashed. Anyway, we're still paused here, people.
We're still trying to figure it out.
Surreal Hell should be in any minute. He is still logging in with the login queue, apparently. This chat.
He's running out of head time. Alright, anyway. He's saying he has 1 minute left in the login queue, so he should be here relatively soon, within the next 2 to 3 minutes, hopefully. As he does still have to log back into the game. So hopefully it won't take too long. I'm certainly hoping not. I am running out of things to talk about.
Recap on this match. We have McDonald's versus Always Gold, like 14, almost 15 minutes in, 4K advantage. One dragon down for McDonald's. No turrets have gone out yet. They did pick up first blood in the top lane. Quick 2-for-1 in the bot lane, and a 1-for-1 earlier. As well as, I'm trying to remember the kill. Oh, never mind, I'm wrong. It was the 2-for-1 in the bot lane. That's the 1 kill on Tristana. I'm just trying to like recap all the kills in my mind here. What happened when there was the bush gank from Flag TV in the top lane. Double flash, taunt, slicing Maelstrom, everything went down to him.
Yeah, but probably my favorite play so far. Still pretty early into the day though, but any team with deck them on it, I seem to be enjoying what happens quite often. So we'll be seeing what decides to come out of this. I am quite enjoying what McDonald's has decided to do. They are running a pretty interesting composition in terms of the Kassadin jungle. I haven't seen a lot of work coming out from him yet. He did assist in that first blood and getting his team the first dragon of the game, but otherwise just kind of hanging back in his jungle and farming it up.
And refreshing my mind on when that dragon went down. It was only about 30 seconds ago. In game, 14:26. So dragon is not going to respawn anytime soon.
Yeah, so we still got about another 5.5 minutes left until the next dragon spawns, roughly. I believe. I didn't check. I didn't hear what time you said. My internet is also getting something. Yeah, so about just about 5 minutes then.
We need some of those LCS overlays that have the dragon timer respawn.
What
is it? It's like I think it's MLG that actually keeps the timer on screen all the time. Like even from the game start, it says dragon at 2.5 minutes, Baron at 15 minutes. And that's what the LCS studios never have for themselves. They just have it like within the 1 or 2 minutes of respawn when it timer pops up on the screen.
Please don't. This chat. So it looks like he is getting into the game right now. According to them, he is loading in right now. Should be getting started extremely soon. Surreal Hell has reconnected as soon as he is back in this game. Yeah, we're getting started right away here. We can stop talking awkwardly and get back into it. So we do see Aggression coming down to the top lane. Dyslexia realizing he can't win, Taunt coming down. Dyslexia taken down to about half health. Trying his best to trade blows. Dyslexia dropping down to about 25% health and is able to walk away from that as Shen ran out of energy.
That is the Shen, and I mentioned his damage scales off his own health, but the regen actually scales off of his health as well. So the more HP he has with the Warmogs, the better he's able to trade, even against an Elise who does percent health damage on 2 abilities. Well, the same ability in 2 forms. You get the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, Declan picking up his own red buff here, and we have the TNE, Jace, running up the top lane.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Shen realizes he is there, but Shen is level 12 and extremely beefy. So I think that if Jace decides to come in, he is walking in right now though. Papa Drop realizes he's there, wafting into the bush. Tiani trying his best to get in. Taunt goes across. Tiani getting taunted a little bit. Tries to drop his EQ combo. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Trying his best to catch up to Papa Drop. Uses his Q down from disguise onto Papa Drop, doing little to no damage, and Papa Drop able to walk away. Ryu Hidi has now decided to come up here as well, but looks like Papa Drop's just going to recall and play. Oh, bot lane, lots of aggression going down. Tidal Wave being used across. Flash being used down from Surreal as well as, Rocket Jump. 2-shot barrage coming down across. Just Surreal Hell just dodging that. Able to walk away from that. Lots of summoners being burnt there, though.
Yeah, and just, you saw how many people were up in that top lane just to deal with Pop and Drop. 3 members, which left a 3v2 in the bot lane. No kills happened, a few summoners and ultimates on both sides, but it allowed Declan to roam down and have a relatively easy gank, free of a counter gank, and it allowed Lag TV just to free farm in the mid lane. Get some, I don't even know if some damage went down to the mid turret. Kind of want to just look across the map at all the turrets right now. None of them too fatally injured right now, except for one that's half health in the bot lane, which we see an engagement upon relatively soon.
Yeah, we actually see Declan hanging out down here in the Tri-Brush. It does have vision from the purple team. Jarvan actually heading around here. He gets caught out by the Aqua Prison. Huge amounts of burst damage coming down. Declan trying to rip the walk away. Takes the turret shot though. The damage over time plus the auto attack from Vinko will finish him off. Jace heading down here as well. It looks like he is going to get spotted out by a ward though. Siachu and Aaron's my name. Going to back away from that. Aaron taking an EQ combo to the face. Just going to walk away from that and play it as safe as they can.
Yeah, that was just a little bit of misinformation from that Declan right there. Sitting on top of the ward for the whole time. Gave him plenty of time to counter and gank. Enough crowd control lockdown, as well as the ignite and the turret damage to finish him off. Forgive me right now, my client is actually a bit having some frames per second issues. I'm keeping him okay, but it's, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of frame lag as well. I think Ryan's just having a little bit of a tough day today.
Anyway.
Alright, there we go. Fixing it up a little bit now. So let's
Are
take
you
a look at the
looking
BS
for
scores
gank
now. Yeah, there's a lot of game action going on in the mid. Knock up just barely missing onto Lazy TV Bouse. He'll be able to walk away from that just fine.
Yeah, and RDPD actually saved the Cataclysm for that counter gank onto Declan, so he would have if he wanted to use it on Lag TV there. He's going up to the top lane now, trying to deal with this Shen that's just being basically a brick wall for this Elise to Dyslexia to deal with. And
I do want to point out something interesting is that Shen isn't even opting to build any MR against a lane that's 100%. Oh, sorry, I actually missed a kill going down to mid lane. Vengeful Maelstrom was used. Lots of aggression that went down there. Ignite was not actually used from Lake TV bound, so Vengeful Maelstrom and a flash being used from Lake TV to pick up the kill onto Jace there.
Yeah, it's just one of those surprise flash ult engages from a Kennen that can really just catch you off guard. We saw that already with his Lexia when he died to the Ignite in the middle of Repel earlier. The same thing there, but it was a 1v1 instead of a 2v1. And right now, RUPD looking for a gank at the top.
Yeah, he is hanging around that bush. There is no vision for McDonald's on that side. Papa Drop does not realize he's there. Papa Drop actually just trying to keep the lane on his side the best he can. He is starting to push out. Taunt going down though. RUPD manages to get the knock up. Gets Cataclysm down onto him. He has nowhere to run. Flashes away though, and he will live from this gank.
Ultimate for a flash, that's one thing he's going to have, but one thing RUPD won't have is Cataclysm, and Dragon respawns in a minute. So he's gonna try. There might be a dragon fight coming out, but he won't have that cooldown available for that.
Yeah, so that won't be available most likely. Let's see what the cooldown is on that for now. It's
100
about
seconds.
108-second cooldown. So if Deknum decides to go for a very early dragon as soon as it spawns, it looks like they might be able to pick it up. Deknum is actually heading over to the top lane though. Lots of aggression going down onto Dyslexia. Oh, lots of aggression going on all over the map though. Dyslexia being forced to flash away. Lots of aggression still going down. They're trying to chase her under the tower. Repel being used though. Doesn't really have anywhere to run. Drops right back down. Lots of damage going down. You will be able to walk away from that though. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, looks like some blows were traded though. Everybody managed to walk away from that just fine as well.
Yeah, Aaron is my name was trying to clear the pink ward around Dragon, which spawns in about 10 seconds, I believe. He ate a bit of damage from Tian's Jace, but really nothing too much went down. No significant cooldowns blown. He was very smartly saving that crescendo for a dragon fight that will break out now. Well, not now, but the dragon respawns now.
When they decide to go for it. Aaron is my name actually heading back over to the dragon. Surreal Hell chasing him down as best as he can. Doesn't look like Jace is reacting to this at all. Too busy farming under his turret for the moment. Doesn't want to miss out too much CS. Aaron is my name does manage to clear out that ward. Deknum heading over for this dragon. Doesn't look like they're going to start it just yet. Kind of heading around the bot lane. Deknum now walking into the dragon pit. I think he's just going to rift walk over. He does rift walk over. It doesn't look like they're wanting to do the dragon just yet until they're sure they can secure it safely.
Yeah, and remember the global presence from Shen. If a dragon fight breaks out, it's going to be a numbers advantage in favor of McDonald's. Now that they have a 5k gold lead overall, it's going to be even more important for them to win this fight and just keep their lead where it is and snowball it farther. Pikachu already, like we mentioned, has the Mana Moon completed. Now he has a Sheen and working towards an Iceborne Gauntlet.
Actually, see both junglers heading down to the bottom here. Venko trying to get his best down. Pikachu actually landing inside of the Cataclysm there. Aaron's Lane taking a lot of damage though. Tidal Wave being bursted across. Deknum coming in here. Flash being used from Venko and Deknum trying to catch up. Already hitting drop down very low. Riftlock right over the bubble though. As much aggression coming down as possible. Everybody going balls deep. Looks like everybody's going to walk away from that though. It looks like they're going to be able to pick up a dragon for free now.
Yeah, and they're probably going to trade their top shirt for it as well. Dyslexia has a giant minion wave, along with Skittering Frenzy, just melts the turret. Turret for a dragon though, 1k gold to each team right there. No kills down, tons of flashes all over the place. Now that turret's going down. First turret of the game actually. 62 in kills, but 0-1 in turrets.
Huge amounts of aggression coming down from these ganks from both teams though. Like they're going as deep as they can, doing their best to snowball the game out of control as much in their favor as they can. They are burning everything for as much kills as they can, whereas Gold is burning everything just to not die, and they're playing as safely as they can, not wanting to give anything up for free.
Yeah, and the second turret will go down the bottom. Well, the first for McDonald's, second turret of the game overall. Just answering that turret and a dragon for one turret, that's a trade they'll take, and it just keeps their gold getting further and further ahead. Now it's 6k. Teleport actually using the mid lane pop and drop there just to clean up and prevent Tian from pushing onto it.
It's like he's just going to make sure that another turret doesn't drop down. Picks up the farm in mid lane. He does have his Sunfire cape completed, so he has a 2 very tanky item Shen at the moment now. So he is a pretty scary threat. Vinko and Tian heading down into mid lane here, trying to push out the wave. But Papa Drop is just incredibly tanky here. Are Hardy actually catching Deknum out in the jungle, doing a little bit of damage. Deknum is going to try and bait this out here. Hardy is getting a little bit caught out now. The Glacial Shot is being dropped. Taunt being used. He's heading back in. Use the EQ combo and forced to flash away. They're still trying his best to chase him. Acceleration Gate being used. He'll be able to walk away from that safely.
Yeah, you do not simply catch out a Kassadin. Cass and Ezreal both very mobile, and just 1v1ing them in the 1v2ing them in the jungle just turned that very quickly around on Aryuhiti. And he was basically forced away, forced to use his splash. The taunt actually landed mid-slide with the EQ from Jarvan, and it forced him to use the splash just to get away.
Yeah, Hardy was getting a little bit in a bad position, forced to use his flash defensively just to stay alive. But he said the mid turret that went down now for McDonald's. So that is a 2-turret lead now for McDonald's, as well as 34.3k to set 27.2. So they are commanding this lead at this point.
Yeah, I want to point out a couple of summoner cooldowns right now. The flash taunt is almost available for pop and drop. The flash slicing maelstrom is now available for lag TV. They can engage whenever they want to, especially with pop and drop as tanky as he is with the Warmog Sunfire Cape. He can just stand under the turret, let the feint shield absorb as much as it can, and probably win the engagement just because of how much damage he can absorb. And the poke.
Two-shot barrage flying across the enemy team, though, just pushing out the wave, getting some damage now. They're desperately trying to siege this tower. There is a good amount of wave clear that's coming out from Gold, though, especially with the Shock Blast combo coming out from Jace. He does have his Bloodthirster now. Not quite fully stacked yet, but it is doing a decent amount of damage, helping him out with the wave clear quite a bit.
I believe he actually just bought that Bloodthirster during this siege. He went back right after that mid-turret went down. And actually, now that Stand United is just coming off of cooldown, we have Pop and Drop up in this top lane, actually eating a few turret shots just to finish off some minions. But yeah, both these teams have enough wave clear just to keep a siege off, and Gold is using that right now just to as much as they can. Live TV even eating a turret shot just to clear up some minions for himself, and we have a bit of a stalemate here.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's going to back away, though. They did do the smart thing. They did remember they do have a Shen. Shen's going to just be split pushing that lane, saying, if you 5 guys are going to be holding one turret, I'm just going to go take another.
And that's really just the best way to answer a stalemate. It's just keep, and especially with the Shen, keep that pressure on somewhere on the map that the action actually isn't going down in. And it's actually forced the both Surreal Hell and Dyslexia to go to the side lane. Surreal Hell to clean up a giant minion wave in bot. But he's Tristana. The explosive shot's just going to melt minion waves. So he can get back to mid lane pretty quickly.
And it looks like there's still a lot of pressure going down onto this mid lane. Pikachu, I think his best is just kind of wave clear. Lots of power going down. He does have his Glacial Shroud now, so he is able to kite and poke really effectively. Using the True Shot Barrage once again to clear out the minion wave in middle. Finishing off those minions now. The bird coming down, helping out a little bit as well. So we do see just lots of split pressure coming down from McDonald. Yeah, McDonald. They do have a lot of ability to split pressure a lot of their lanes. They can push out their lanes from a distance. Ezreal can use True Shot Barrage on a lane, and Shen able to split push. He does have teleport available in 60 seconds, and he does have Stand United at max level now, so he is able to split push as effectively as he possibly can. Deknum looking like they're trying to catch out Aryuhiti into jungle here. Aryuhiti gonna drop down really low, using his EQ combo, actually gets stunned before he can cast his Q properly, and gets killed inside of that bush.
Wow, that Jarvan melted. Aryuhiti ate a lot of damage in crowd control. No ultimates blown. Pretty much, I believe it was just the silence from Deknum and the passive stun from Lag TV that got that kill. So
yeah, I do believe Lag managed to pick up a stun with Mark of the Storm. He did manage to get 3 marks off extremely quickly. So it was stunned in the middle of the EQ combo, wasn't able to get away from them and drop down in his own jungle.
Yeah, and now that we have not as much of action going down here, I kind of want to pause and look at the items real quick. Besides the level advantage that is obviously very huge in the top lane, 2 levels, well now 1 level, sorry. Never mind. 1 level between Pop and Drop and Dyslexia. Anyway, items. We see now actually in Ages of the Legion being worked on for Pop and Drop. A little bit of, I wouldn't say it's the best item in this situation, but it's working for him just because he's ahead. The little bit of magic damage that's really there to block is on Dyslexia, and it is % health, so it gives a little bit of aid to his team in that regard. But the rest of the gold composition is physical damage. We look down the line, we see Archangel's staff being worked on for Deknum. A minimal farm jungler he's just going for a couple of core items. He has the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith in there. Good for the jungle, and now just adding just a core cast an item on top of it. Looks like Tien
But it
is
looks
looking
like Pop
for
and
an
Drop is gonna be. Sorry to interrupt you there. Pop and Drop getting. It looks like he might have been caught out there. Stun
And
just
mid lane.
barely missing. Dyslexia is still trying to catch him up. Meanwhile, the mid lane though, just a vengeful Maelstrom being used. Deknum dropping down Vinko by his own turret. Looks like they're still gonna be trying to chase down Aryuhiti. Aaron has been catching up as best as he can. Does he still have Crescendo? No. Yes, he does. Sorry, does still have Crescendo. So vengeful Maelstrom was used there. Didn't quite get to catch up what happened though.
There was some rather odd stutter stepping between Aaron and Lag TV there. I'm not sure if that was computer issues or they were actually doing that on purpose. Regardless, it was just Vinkel that dropped in that entire engagement. Two-man gank onto Pop and Drop, of course, resulted in almost nothing because he's a very fed Shen right now. A lot of health, a lot of resistances, and it's really working out for him.
Yeah, Shen's still sitting up in that top lane. Pretty much a 2-level advantage on Dyslexia right now. Keeping the pressure there. Dyslexia has no way to really get to his teammates quickly. The best he can do is switch to Spiderborn and run down to wherever the team fight is, whereas Shen can practically instantly get to wherever the action is going on. So he's doing a good job of keeping the pressure there. Lots of mid lane siege going down. See, Pikachu managed to picking up that mid lane turret. Are you heating in? You drop down extremely low acceleration gate being used. They are going to be able to walk away from this. But that is a turret down now.
And the Muramana was just finished, finally charged onto Pikachu. He does have that little bit of a power spike now that he can really burst someone down. Between the Iceborne Gauntlet procs and the Muramana procs, he can really get a lot of single target damage down. Looks like they're finally going to disengage, get some of the minions pushed back up, and I would expect McDonalds to try to push on the bottom lane turret while Pop and Drop sits in the top lane. Continue to split push and just a lot of the turret pressure and keep that on the map as long as possible.
Yeah, McDonald's is doing a good job of making sure that Gold doesn't have a chance to catch up. Like TV actually getting a little bit caught out here, stuck in the Cataclysm, forced to use his Zhonya's just to try and stay alive here. Doesn't really have anywhere to run, trying to use Lightning Rush to run away. He will get shut down by the Tristana though. You gotta get a little bit greedy there, staying overextended for a little bit too long.
I believe he was just saving his ultimate. He knew he was dead in that situation. A 1v4, even with as ahead as the team is, he cannot do that. He has a bit of extra health now with the Riley's Crystal Scepter and haunting guys in there after the Zhonya's was completed as the first item. But yeah, 1v4 not possible quite yet. He's not that far ahead.
Yeah, sadly didn't quite work out in his favor though. We do see a lot of aggression going down onto this mid lane. Neknum doing his best to siege it, or hold down the siege. Pikachu is now here and managing to hold that off. Everybody's gonna back away from this now though. And looks like everybody's just gonna kind of go back to their farm game. Nothing too aggressive. I think we'll be seeing a lot of aggression going down towards Baron buff though. Both teams are going to be keeping their eye on that as best as they can.
Yeah, I kind of want to go, since I never finished my item analysis, I want to go back to that. Blue build Ezreal actually almost completed now. Only Blade of the Vermin King missing off of that. The Last Whisper also in there, when there's not really any armor apart from an Aegis on Aryuhiti, is just going to do almost true damage right now. Well, almost, I say. Percent armor penetration doesn't quite take it down to 0, but it's close. Really close.
It does negate a huge amount of armor. Aegis has been changed this patch. We are playing in 3.10. No longer builds into Runic Bulwark. It now builds into Locket. And the passive effect has been changed now. So not as amazing as an item as it used to be. Still a relatively decent aura item for your team, but definitely has lost a lot of its power this patch.
Yeah, and also Zeke's Herald on Aaron is my name. There's not a lot of auto attack damage outside of Pikachu, so it's really only benefiting him for that extra lifesteal. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see an Abyssal Scepter and a bit of tankiness being worked on for Dyslexia. It has a Warden's Mail in there now to deal with really just the Ezreal. Like I said, not a lot of auto attack damage. I'm not entirely sure why that item is coming out, but it's going to
a lot of aggression go down your late game. About using Vengeful Maelstrom onto the elites, at least using Repel to delay it as long as you can. Force the flash away after the Repel though. There is a Vengeful Maelstrom down. Tidal Wave being used against Crescendo flying across, catching out some real life. Huge damage. Aaron is my name, getting dropped down very low. True Shot Barrage flying across. Pop and drop, trying to chase down Tiamat. Cataclysm being dropped down. Blade of the Root King used on Tristana. Getting a killing spree down onto Kassadin. Flash away coming down from Jarvan. Like TV Bound just barely living with the skin of his teeth. Flash is being burned everywhere. Aryuhiti has nowhere to run, and he will drop down to the Ezreal. That was a 1-for-1 trade, and a whole lot of summoner spells. So a 2-for-1 now.
The beginning of that fight, they threw everything at Aaron is my name. They threw ultimates at him, could not drop him. the Stand United shield was able to keep him alive so he could throw a crescendo out. Now it looks like Dyslexia might be getting cut
Lexia's
out.
got nowhere to run,
He's
stuck
dead.
under zone turret, pop and drop, just gonna sit there and take it, wait for him to come out. The taunt dropping down, Sikachu will pick that up under their tower. That was a 3-for-1 exchange and the end of all of it.
Yeah, like I said, everything being thrown in the air, and once Sikachu finally joined the party, he was late. So it actually allowed Declan to die before he joined. But once he was there, he just used Arcane Shift, Flash to get a lot of damage down and keep the damage off of himself, just moving around everywhere. Took down the 3-for-1. I believe that was 2 kills to him in that fight at the end of it, and 1 actually to pop and drop. But yeah, inhibitor turret down now. First inhibitor turret of the game. Now it's 6-1 in turrets, 11-4 in kills, and a 13k goal lead overall. The last time I looked at that, it was about 6k. Now it's 13.
Do love aggression right now once again. Arihidi getting caught out a little bit, trying to use his EQ combo and gets absolutely bursted down. Huge amounts of damage coming down now. Aaron is my name will drop down to Tian though. Getting a little bit aggressive, cutting caught, a little bit caught out underneath the tower though. Looks like they're gonna try to go back in. Actually gonna back away here. Pop and drop, just taking it down a couple shots. Gonna back away, wait for the next minion wave. No, actually, it looks like they're just going to leave recall, grab the next dragon, and head back to base and pick up some more items.
Yeah, and a lot of CS is dying to that outer bottom turret as well. A lot of that will go down, and finally, Surreal Hell will go around to pick that up. 4th dragon, I believe, going down by this point for McDonald's. Giant gold lead right now. Like I said, when I last looked at that gold, it was 6,000. And then everything happened, and now it's 14,000.
Yeah, it's a pretty substantial gold lead coming out right now. Gold is extremely behind at this point. Not to say that they're completely out of this fight. They do have a Tristana, has managed to finish her Infinity Edge. If they can turtle long enough, if they can keep their Tristana safe, and if they can manage to pick off the right targets in fights and delay this game as long as they can, they have a chance to come back from this.
And Sikachu just sold his Elder Lizard for a Bloodthirster, and now he has a Chain Vest. So he's going to be very tanky. Chain Vest on top of already an Iceborne Gauntlet, in fact. So he's going to have a lot of armor against that heavy AD composition that Gold has right now. So a lot of damage, a lot of armor, not a whole lot of health, but a lot of armor.
Yeah, it looks like he'll probably be dropping down for that Guardian Angel, looking to stay alive and be a big threat for as long as he can in a fight. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Looking to be as big of a threat as he can for as long as he possibly can. Picking up that Guardian Angel. Did switch over to the Bloodthirster as it does scale a little bit better into the late game in terms of raw damage output. So
yeah,
looks like a lot of aggression actually coming down onto Baron now. McDonald's looking to try and pick that up as soon as they can. There is no vision from Gold onto it, so this could pretty much be a free Baron for their team.
Yeah, that's a free Baron. Unless Gold decides to check that with a ward or two. They don't have any inhibitors down, so they could do that without losing any map pressure, maybe except in the bottom lane, but yeah, the Baron's dead. One thing that Gold actually doesn't have right now is any armor penetration. I want to go back to just how much Sikachu has on him right now. There's no penetration between either Surreal Hell or Tian right now, and I mean the Last Whisper is being worked on for Tian. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that right, but that's what it looks like. Almost completed. I believe he actually does have enough to complete that. So as soon as he goes back, which he is right now, that should be completed. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot of penetration right now on anyone except Elise, and now the Last Whisper on Tian. Dyslexia, the only one else who.
You have the best timing some days, you know that, Brett?
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, going back to the builds, actually it was Tian that opted more for the couple of just flat damage item first with the Mirror Mana and the Bloodthirster. No armor penetration, but a lot of AD between the two items. Tristana actually ended up rushing the Blade of the Ruin King first, which being behind it helps Tristana with her mid game like power dip. And now Tian
actually getting caught down in the bottom lane here, getting taunted out by Pop and Drop, while Siatri and Deck Number hanging out the side manages to pick up the kill, and now they're gonna be able to pick up this bottom turret for free.
Yeah, he got melted. It's 38 minutes in the game, so now the death timers are about a minute now, so it's a 5v4 on the map, and they don't even really need to split push right now. McDonald's has a lot of map pressure. Declan taking down the mid inhibitor turret. Only 3 turrets left on the map now for Gold.
And two of them being the Nexus turrets. Deklam doing his best to kind of split off, using his Rift Walk to just get away every time the team comes out, trying to damage the inhibitors. And now Lazy TV Bounce also doing a little bit of splitting, trying to keep pressure off the turrets as much as he can. Pikachu's still at the bottom, taking down a turret. The entire enemy team is split. If they engage now, it could be very good for them, but they're doing their best to keep the pressure on the turrets, and it doesn't look like anybody wants to engage.
Yeah, they just have a lot of cross-map pressure between the Kasten and the Shen. They're just able to keep pressure everywhere in all three lanes. First inhibitor will go down bot lane. They might rotate around to the remaining two that don't have any turrets. I see no reason why they wouldn't take them by this point. A lot of poke damage onto this real hell, and the Ezreal is just doing so much poke right now. Lag TV as well has some of his own. Second inhibitor drops, the top one, the only one remaining, and it's not going to be up for too much longer.
Papadop's taking down really low. Your flash bench from Airship coming down. Huge amounts of damage coming out for the entire enemy team. Tidal Wave dropping down across. Stand United being used on Lake TV bounce. Siachi managed to pick up the kill onto Elise. Looks like everybody's going to be able to... Sorry, everybody's getting dropped down on gold. We managed to kick up 3 kills for nothing. Zekno getting dropped down extremely low. They're fixing their eyes towards the Nexus turret. One drops down. The other one's getting dropped down extremely quickly. This could be game very well for McDonald's Gaming. Or McDonald's or Esports.
McDonald's or Esports. I'm just calling him McDonald's. The real hell wants to make one last stand, but he's just taking too much damage and he's gonna die. Looks like Lag TV picking up the kill. Nexus finally explodes, and it's a victory for McDonald's or Esports.
Yeah, really well played coming down from McDonald Esports. They did a really good job of managing to keep up consistent pressure, especially since they knew that they didn't have the greatest late game scaling in terms of their team composition. They did their best to make sure that the enemy could not catch up at any point in the game, really.
Yeah, especially with the Shen, and as fed as Pop and Drop was, he was able to turn around any engagements in their favor and just dominate the one lane all game. His inhibitor was actually the one that didn't go down, ironically enough. Anyway,